Hi everyone, my name is Lusanda Mthiba. Today I will be doing a unit testing in classes and endpoints. So for me to choose this topic is because before I have been exposed to unit testing or testing, I have been aware that there is something that is called testing on the back end stuff. So when I got it here, I find out like there's this thing, then I was supposed to do it. Then I read about it, then it was quite interesting for me. Then I would start, I will do like some examples on Python stuff. So because this is the language that I've been working on so far. So what is unit testing? Unit testing is a method where components or individual units of the software are being tested. Their conformity to design the specification, and that also includes include testing associated data and usability procedure. Unit testing is simply a small piece of code for any single function. So for you to write a unit testing is for functions like small function. So like functions calls another function are being called on the endpoints and stuff. So there's those small functions that that they're gonna give you an output. So those are the unit testing. We test each and every unit of the your software. So let's continue. Then there is a when you write a function, there is a possibility that it could not give you what you expected, which means there could be a negative testing. You have to able to test if something don't goes according to your plan or according to your expectations on that function. And let's continue. Then there is a PiTest. PiTest is a unit testing framework for Python. There are so many frameworks that are being used depending on the language that you are working on. There is JUnit, which is for Java. There is PyTest, which is for Python. As I said, like I will be more on Python testing. It's a PyTest, PyUnit. It's a worldwide used tool. So it's mostly used in Python. There is also another one which is called PyTest, which is also used in Python. PyUnit has assertions and exception handling. So that's what is important about the PyUnit. It gives us assertions, which are functions to test what you want to test, the way you want to test it. So I would say how, like there's this question of how to use it. So you have to download it, install in a computer. Then you can create some test folders or test functions. Then I will show you how you do a testing actually on the function or in the class. So assertions, as I said, like assertions is to check, make sure whenever you are setting it's true or false or equal to something or not equal to something. So those are the, like some of the function are returning true, some of the function are returning some values where you can test if they are equal or this is what you expected or not. So these are the assertions, some of assertions available in PyUnit are assertion equals, method, assertion not equals, assertion true, assertion false, assertion null, assertion not null. So assertion equals, it's where you expected something to be equal to each other. So you say it is supposed to be equal, you use assertion equals. Then assertion not equal, it is where you expected something to be not equal. So it is used for not equal. Assertion true, as I mentioned, that test if it's something is true, it returns true or it returns false. Assertion false and null assertions. And there are so many of them. So then I will continue. Then we have why unit testing is important. So unit testing is important. So if you have written it and you write a method, you just click and run the testing. Then if pass, then you continue. Then like debugging everything to test if you put this and you put this. Then better design. So according to unit testing, you have to write the testing first before you write those functions. So it gives you a clue, or it gives you a direction how to write, what you must do for this debugging process. As I mentioned, that it gives you like it debugs for you, because done like debugging, it will cost you some time. Reduce cost, so it's reduced a cost of time. And if someone if someone came to change from, or maybe on the code, then on your function, then it just run a test. You will see if like it is change, his or her changes are making any function to not function well. So let me continue. Then classes and functions. Then you need to test. As you already downloaded the PyUnit in your computer, then you need to import it. Then there are test cases, functions. So there's setup, tear down, skip, test, and there's so many of them. So setup is if you want to run some, maybe like we can say, maybe you want to declare something before each and every test. So you write a setup, then like same thing each and every function. So tear down is for it's a function that runs after every function. So if like you want to clear some spaces and stuff. So skip, you want to skip a certain test. So continue. So you must make sure that your class or your function start with test or end with test for a unit test, so that it can able to pick up the functions or the classes. So passing, like if you are writing a class, then you have to pass the unit test to test case to the class, or use the annotation of unit test at unit test to test case above the class that you are writing a test to. Example. So example is there's a class which is a rectangle. So it has like is like a constructor, get area, function, set width and height. So class test. Then when you write a class test to say like get area, then you pass a unit test to test case, that you define test normal case, which means test is at the beginning of the name of the function. And you can also see that a class has test at the beginning. You can also put at the end, up to you. Then there's a test which is a normal case, then there's a negative case. So as I said, there is the positive one and the negative one. So here is a rectangle. They declared a rectangle that takes two parameters, which is a width and the height. Then they test if like a rectangle.get area is equal to 6, which means the 6 is an expected value, then rectangle.get area is an actual value. Then you can pass a message which is parameter in this function. Then on the negative, then expect -1 as output to be noted area when looking at the negative area. So rectangle is equal to, then they put negative -1 and 2. Then they test if like in -1 or not. That's how you write in a unit test on this function. And on points. So mostly since endpoints, the connection, it's like using APIs. So we use PESH and mocks to bring a setting to the method call. So mock it's used to eliminate all the dependencies, as if like you are calling a database, then you mock something. So which means you are making your fake database that will be having data that you want to put in there. So you have to mock every dependent. You are calling in endpoints, you are calling different or different functions. The important thing here is to, when you like there is PESH, then when you use PESH, then you call you say at PESH.object application random person, which means get random person is a function that is on application, that is being called, like imported in the application class. So dot get random person, it's important there. Then you mock that random person. Then you say define test experience user. Then mock. Then you pass. If you're mocking 3 methods, then you have to pass all of them in the function. Then arrange. And app is equal to application. Then user is equal to declare a user. Expected person KT. Then mock side effect. Then you override that get random person with this list. The like actual person dot get actual person is equal to app dot get next person user. Then it will be overridden. Then when you call that application, it will say if it's supposed to go to the method of get random person, it just take what you have or overridden it. So it tests if actual person is equal to expected person. That's all I can say. Then how to write a good test. So you need to test all the possibilities, all the case possibilities for a function or a class. And test should be produce the expected result. So as you know what you expected for the positive and you know what you expected for the negative. Don't just test what is expected for the positive only. You have to write every that can happen when you call that class or when you call that function. Tests shouldn't be testing multiple results. So you should not put many assets in one test method. So each and every test method must have only one asset. You should like test one per method. Make sure your code is clean and readable so everyone can understand and see what is going on according to your test. Then thank you. That's it for me.